And it's such a beautiful bridge. I
And
mean,
then,
hopefully
hopefully,
watch
we're
TV.
still
It's
waiting
either,
on,
yeah, Eiffel Tower.
Have you walked
plant,
across?
whatever that oiler,
I
the
have.
tank or whatever.
Buy
Then
it, but
as soon
no,
as we
we're-
get that, we finish Barkus and, but it looks like it's gonna be next spring now because also Innsbruck and. Some of these lines aren't working this morning. Oh, welcome,
He's having the same trouble you are.
the interim AC.
Interim ace.
We ready to go?
Snowing 2 years ago today.
Was it really?
Showed up on my Facebook.
Oh, wow.
I love
I'm not
this
ready
wea-
for that just
I love
yet.
this weather.
This I do, yes. I'm not ready for snow right now.
Andrew, get in there.
What's up, Drew?
Golly,
We could hear you coming.
come on, man. In that little car.
Ah.
That's how it is, man.
It's got that big old exhaust on the back.
Bigger than the car.
It's coming, I think it's like a semi-load carrying a train or something, and it's his car.
Zip car, you know.
One of those little,
Probably one of them Hondas.
yeah.
Isuzu.
Well, I see them when they make it. They don't do a lift, they do the opposite. They don't.
Was that trip to Europe everything you hoped it was gonna be?
What?
That trip to Europe?
Oh, yeah.
Spain, that's where we want to go. We're ready to go? Good morning. Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. This is the Village of Ruidoso special meeting. It's October the 24th, 8 a.m. If you'll stand with me, we'll have a moment of silence and then join me in the pledge. Pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the Zia symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures.
Before all the debates, they should say the pledge of allegiance.
All right, thank you, everybody. Can I get a roll call, please, ma'am?
Mayor Crawford,
Here.
Counselor Eby.
Here.
Counselor Letterman,
Here.
Counselor Salas.
Here.
Counselor Hooker,
Here.
Counselor Jackson,
Here.
Counselor Corey.
Here.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you very much, and I want everybody to meet, if they haven't already met, Dennis Duke.
Dukes.
Duke Ducks. He's an engineer that we've been able to work with that's helping us with FEMA, and he's spending a lot of time at the EOC and in the field and everything, but welcome, and thank you for doing what you're doing. He's making a big difference. We appreciate it. Okay.
And the funding's coming from COG.
COG, yeah, the Council of Governments we've been working with Dora and those folks there. They've helped us out a lot. Ron, you want to add anything?
Mayor, members of the council, we were very fortunate to receive a grant for $60,000 from the COG to assist us with having Dennis work on some of our recovery and putting our projects together and being able to submit all that to FEMA and to Homeland Security and be able to work with the funding that we received from DFA. So he's been a great asset to have with the village. That grant is going to be ending very soon, and now
We'll get some more somewhere.
yes, we'll be working through our FEMA and DHSEM funding to be able to have this position, so.
Well, we need to get it signed pretty quick before he changes his mind.
Exactly.
I invited him to
He
the,
said when he came
Yes.
in one day, we had a meeting, that he would like to run these things to ground, and he was in it to win it,
oh,
so.
absolutely. Yeah, and he's been a big asset helping Adam also and his crews and just going out and being, having his eyes on these areas that needed, we had infrastructure was compromised, so we really, really like working with Dennis.
And they like him a lot better at the EOC than they do me, because I don't know enough, and so I just cause problems, but they really appreciate working with you, Dennis. So we thank you so. It's in the Dennis Duke Show, so we'll move on with the rest of the show. Agenda item number 1 is discussion and possible action on adoption of Resolution 2024-43, a resolution amending the fiscal year 2025 budget quarter ending September 30th, 2024, for certain funds in application to the Local Government Division, LGD, of the New Mexico Department of Finance Administration, DFA, for the approval thereof. And welcome, Alex. We're glad you made it. Glad you made it, Alex. Thanks, sir. You're welcome. Yes, ma'am, Judy?
Yes, Mayor, councilors, this is our first budget adjustment of fiscal year '25. This encompasses all budget adjustments from July 1st to September 30th. Within this budget adjustment, you'll have all the fiscal year '24 rollovers of capital projects or any grants or anything that wasn't completed. We'll start off in '25. This is usually the biggest budget increase of all four of the quarters. In fact, expenditures increased $48,617,284. This will be, if approved, it'll be due to DFA on the 31st. So for today's discussion, like always, we'll focus on the resolution report. This report gives the changes by category, revenues, transfers in, expenditures out, transfers out for each fund. And then we'll give the purpose of each of the budget adjustments. If at any time you require additional information, just stop me and we can go on. So if
And this went before the IFC,
yes,
Internal Finance
Finance
Committee.
Committee on Monday.
Monday, we all met with that. Richie Hood,
George
George Wilford,
Mr. Eby.
Joe was here, all that, so we
Mike
went
and
through
Jamon.
it pretty good. And she'll explain it to you, but go ahead.
Okay. So the first fund is the general fund. Revenues increased $1,828,394. The main adjustments were for the FEMA South Fork fire reimbursement at $1,750,000. Parks and Rec has their Keep New Mexico Beautiful grant, $51,741. Just a side note, a lot of times when you see a grant, you'll see the grant explanation on the revenues, and then later on in the presentation, you'll also see the same amount in expenditures, or it could be a little bit more because we may or may not have a match according to it. The next one are the fiscal year 2025 donations increased at $26,653. Out of that, fire received $21,530. The seniors have $2,451, and Parks and Rec received $2,672. After the South Fork fire, we received a lot of donations for the firefighters, so that's why their amount is a little bit bigger than the others. Our transfers in increased by $2 million. The main one is for a transfer for an interfund loan from the DFA loan for South Fork Fire. As you recall, for the FEMA projects, the state has decided to give us seed money to start our FEMA projects because we know we're going to have a lot of projects that are high dollars, so we were awarded $44 million. But we only got half of it until the FEMA project worksheets get through a little bit farther in the approval process with FEMA. So in order not to shortfall the general fund, we're actually lending the general fund $2 million to cover the South Fork expenditures that we've already paid out. And then once the reimbursement from FEMA for these expenditures come in, which hopefully will be in the next couple of months, then that money will go back to the DFA loan.
Go ahead.
Judy, so what if, okay, so we've got the 22 million. What if they decide that our projects aren't good enough? What would happen then? Will we have to give that 22 million back?
So it's already going through the process.
Mike can touch on all that.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, Mayor and council members. Councilmember Litterman, so one of the main requirements for those funds even being sent up in the first place was an initial review by FEMA. And so if FEMA hadn't approved them to be submitted initially, then more than likely they would not have accepted them with the idea that they would be approved later on. And so we went through a thorough process, made sure we submitted that information, and FEMA did in fact review it. If there was a case that it wasn't, we're working out a secondary option with the state where, because it should have been a covered responsibility, there may be a cost share at that point, but more than likely, that should not happen.
And Gene Bova and with FEMA and John Moon with DHSM, that it's at EOC, they're working diligently on making sure that those happen, because a lot of that's come off their recommendations too.
And the gentleman right behind you, Dennis Dukes,
Yep.
thoroughly reviewed those
Sure.
before, and we went through that as well. And so there was a very thorough process that was done in order to make sure that they do qualify no matter what. So we did walk through that process. I'd say we're thoroughly confident, not 100%, because you never are, but we're thoroughly confident that they should all be accepted by FEMA.
So we start our projects, and then they come back and look at what we're doing, and then they say, okay, we'll give you 22 more million.
So I believe they go through another approval process through FEMA, and upon that approval process, then they'll give us the other money.
Okay,
Which a lot of that's in the works now.
okay.
You know, we're still having discussions on like the river, how do you clean the river? You know, do you dredge it? They don't like that word, but, you know, making progress to put the river back like it was, or try to.
And it's also a timeline component. So where we're at on progress and what that timeline looks like, and also a portion of us receiving the other 22 million.
Is some of this 22 million going to the disaster relief, where they're taking stuff from the burn area?
That's running through
Are we
the,
paying that?
that's going through the county, from what I understand. The county's so far spent 12 million that they're trying to recoup. That they're actually paying the road, some of the road, the DRC,
Yes, sir.
whatever the name of that company is that's hiring all those people, that's running through them for debris removal, hauling it, road clearing and all that. So we're not in that conversation, and they're having a tough time because they need reimbursement. Just like Judy will tell you, we're waiting on nearly 3 million, is it 3 million, something, whatever dollars from FEMA. That's a different batch that we're waiting on to get reimbursed. That's why we're loaning money back and forth.
Yes, sir. So Mayor and Councilmember Letterman, most of the costs that we're talking about right now are those initial onset costs. What we received, the 44 million, and what the county received their 26 million for were infrastructure pieces
Right.
only. And so those monies really don't go to reimburse those areas. They can be held as placeholders so that the budgets don't float, but that's what they're looking for now. And we're looking for those reimbursements to hopefully happen extremely soon.
Okay, thank you.
And Mayor Crawford, Councilor Letterman, the village submitted over $200 million of projects. And having that with DFA working with us and seeing the additional funding that we really need, they're going to work with us in the session and try to be able to get some additional loan funds, and that's what they're working on, so.
So the additional projects are up to about 100 and, how many, 4,800?
So we roughly have about 160 projects. The estimated value should be close to about $400 million.
So that's moving in that direction, but all those are being evaluated as we go.
Yep.
And then we're waiting on the H&H study, the hydrology and hydraulics
Right. Okay.
studies to come back so that it'll all fit into that puzzle. Sorry, Judy, go ahead.
No. It's all good. And there's also a transfer from intergovernmental grants for Moon Mountain Grant Match. I paid it twice. We talked about it last quarter. And so here you'll see that us paying it back. The next category on expenditures, we had some fiscal year 2024 rollovers, donations at $54,848. The police rollover was $12,847. The police canine at $2,794. Fire at $2,735. The seniors at $13,430, and parks at $23,042. And then the new stuff is for the South Fork Fire at $1,811,154. Keep New Mexico Beautiful, $51,741. And then the fiscal year 25 donations at $26,654. And we did roll over some monies to finish out the IT server project at $47,700. Are there any other questions on any of the general fund changes? The next fund is SGRT. On revenues, our rollovers are for the storm drainage plan at $350,000. That's part of a grant of $250,000 and a loan of $100,000. Upper Canyon diversion at $918,415, the grant part $826,573, and the loan at $91,842. And then the watershed plan grant at $137,250. The new grants, or groans, I should say, that we got were for the water tank restoration Phase 2 at $1,187,944. The grant part is $1,069,150, and the loan at $118,794. And then the Country Club water line replacement at $3.6 million. The grant is $3 million, and the loan is $546,854. So that is the.
Question for Adam, please.
Sure.
And I forgot, how much pipe is that replacing at Country Club?
Come on, Adam.
Is it like,
Or-
I believe, we're looking at right at 16,000 linear feet
Okay,
of pipe. From
because that's all of
all
Lupine
of,
Loop,
High
Corona.
Loop, Lupine, High Loop, Lupine, White Oaks, all the little side streets in there. It's the whole thing. It's just not, it doesn't incorporate the La Luz part of it. It's the whole upper part, Wildwood, all that.
Okay, yeah, that's where I was saying, because I remember we had a lot of leaks right there by Moderna or Madera and all
Yeah, Auto,
that.
Starlight,
That was
everything.
like constant.
Yes.
So that was the question being
All the way
asked.
up to the tank. We have the new line at the tank with the new tank, but you have the existing line that comes through the pump house and goes up White Oaks all the way to
Right.
the tank, so all that'll be replaced also.
Okay. That way I'll get the Lupine Loop residents. Well, I sent them to Ron. And it's like, no, call Ron. I don't
Oh,
know
no,
what you're
Mayor.
talking about.
Mayor Crawford, members of the council, yes, I'm on their phone list all hours of the night, so they're great to inform me, so.
And when do you think the project will, because it's been engineered or no?
It has been engineered and it has gone out to bid. The bid opening is the November 12th, I believe.
Okay, good. Thank you.
On the cost share, does that include our work, our labor, or is that money that's coming out of?
It's GeoBond and
Mayor, Councilor Letterman, I believe the Water Trust Board.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, the groans are all from Water Trust Board. Sorry about that.
Okay.
So we'll go on to expenditures, the rollovers of fiscal year '24. And just a side note on those groans, we usually budget some monies in SGRT showing how much we have to pledge against the application to the Water Trust Board so that we can get those groans. So within these parameters, you'll see the projects mentioned twice. The first time would be what we had set aside in order to apply, and then, of course, the later part would be what the actual groan came in at. So the on-call engineering at $49,231,000, the watershed plan at $268,750, storm drainage plan at $350,000, the Rio Ruidoso water plant, $58,694, Eagle Creek water line, $19,942, geomorphic survey North Fork at $58,231, water conservation, $41,000, professional fees, $509, water rights, $587,365, the Wingfield drainage at $60,000, river wells rehab, $340,967, Upper Canyon diversion at $2.3 million, Two Rivers raw water line, $478,000, Country Club water line, $2,005,133, Eagle Creek Phase 3, $415,364, the Grindstone Dam spillway at $45,885, the water tanks Phase 1, $4.5 million, and the water tanks Phase 2, $891,301. So those were all the rollovers, and then the new stuff for '25 was the water tank restoration Phase 2. We added another $296,643, the Country Club water line replacement, $1.4 million, Homestead at $125,000,
Hollywood Well at $40,190. The loan repayment of all the groans at $757,490. Of that, the tank restoration Phase 2, $118,000.
I didn't see that in there.
Huh?
Where's that at? You lost me right there.
I'm trying to go fast,
Take
because I
a
know you
breath.
guys
You're
have
good.
a
You're
long
good.
day.
It's all important stuff. You're good.
118,794, Country Club at 546,000, Upper Canyon Diversion at 91,842. Interest expense, we'll have a little bit on these loans, but it won't be a lot, 5,000. Storm drain inventory at 154,492. Eagle Creek Waterline, 68,050. Water rights, we allocated additional monies for water rights at 2.3 million. The Anaconda Line at 900,000 and Alto Lake at 12,500.
Now, did we already get the money for the 900?
That's in an application, I
Yeah,
believe?
that's in the application, right, for the Anaconda? We don't have it yet, do we?
No, that
Okay.
was just the
I just wanted to make sure.
That's just the set-aside money. I
Okay.
think they've applied for at least 4 more projects for Water
You
Trust Board.
loaded them up this year, yeah.
We should know by the beginning of next week,
Mm-hmm.
if they got approved. They're gonna make the recommendation to the legislation next week.
Okay, thanks.
So the next fund is emergency EMS. The fiscal year EMS Fund Act amount increased from 16,000 to 100,000. We had already had 16,000 in the budget, so we just added another 84,000. And then they were also awarded a grant of $32,370 for AEDs. So you'll
Thank you,
see,
Municipal League, on
yeah,
pushing all that.
yeah.
What is AEDs?
It's the defibrillators.
Defibrillator.
Yeah, that's what I thought, okay.
But the increase in the monies came from legislation that the New Mexico Municipal League, we've been pushing for a couple of years and got it through this last time.
So you'll see the same increase to revenues and expenditures. And then on the SURF, which is the Capital Equipment Replacement Fund, this is all rollover. These were for funds that the departments had from auction proceeds from prior years. So in fiscal year 2024, the rollover for fire was 149,954. The seniors at 7,680. Police at 101,926, water production at 1,334, water distribution at $152, the parks and rec at 21,289, the treatment plant at 5,278, admin at 1,926, convention center 200, airport $5,424, streets $7,964, P&Z $7,523, solid waste $30,701, and there's some contingency funds at $11,014. The next fund is the fire fund. When we went through budget, we had thought they might apply for a grant. However, I just talked to Joe a couple weeks ago, and they're gonna try to go for a loan from NMFA for a fire truck. We are actually paying off the loan that was tied to Fire Trucks Plus from back in the day. This
howdy.
year is the final
my gosh.
payment, and so they are gonna try to go and apply for a new loan for a new truck. So,
One that's already assembled.
And maybe one that won't stay wrecked.
maybe.
We had a wreck yesterday.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's our luck, huh? The solid waste
To me,
truck.
it has to be, there's a little judgment in there too. Why are you at Slotsky's parking lot at noon?
Oh, goodness.
I mean, I'm just saying, I wasn't there, but I don't know,
So-
Kate, what do you think? Jeez.
So we're reducing the revenues because the loan will be issued in a separate fund and the money's transferred. So you'll see the revenue coming down, but you'll see a transfer in from NMFA loans coming in for the same amount. And then on expenditures, it increased 580,651, and that's just a rollover of cash. The new truck was already budgeted in the preliminary budget amounts. So that's why you only see the rollover, the cash. And Law Enforcement Protection Fund, we're rolling over $61,961 from last year, and they are gonna use it to buy in-car computer systems. The special library rollover for library funds was $54,980. And then in lodger's tax, transfers increased by 91,355. We're going to close out the special events fund. There's some residual cash, so we're just going to roll it over to lodger's tax. Expenditures increased from a rollover of the ZIA contract at 21,900. And then the new stuff for 2025 is we increased for swag items at 50,000, trade show at 20,000, outside events advertising at 112,000, park events at 200,000, and tourism events at 65,200. The next fund is the special events, seeing the transfer out of 91,355 to lodger's tax. Then on special recreation, we're budgeting 40,000 for the ice rink revenue that will be opening up here in November. And then the expenditures are all fiscal year 2024 rollover. The WIBIT at 121,917, the ice rink at 36,950, Parks and Rec at $76,027, and the watershed at 173,376. If you recall, at the end of each WIBIT, after we take out some operation seed money, then it's divided between Parks and Watershed. So this is their accumulated revenues. On intergovernmental grants, on revenues, it increased 4.7 million. The rollover from 24 was the links at $871,104 on revenues. Moon Mountain at 20,306. And then recreation had two legislative appropriations, one at 500,000, and then the other $1 million we had already drew down. So their rollover balance was 456,272. So the combination of the two is the 956,000. The senior center bathroom rolled over $87,414, and the kitchen remodel was at $259,280. And then McBride's legislative appropriation rolled over at 2.2 million. And then the RMA bathroom at 265,000. On the expenditure side, again, on the rollovers, the links at 216,912, Moon Mountain 23,355, recreation at 918,423, the senior bathroom 43,282, the kitchen remodel at 185,716, McBride at 2.2, and the RMA bathroom at 265,000. And then, of course, the transfer back of the money to the general fund for paying Moon Mountain match twice. Any questions on any of those grants? We'll move on to FEMA.
Good work, everybody.
Yeah, I know.
A lot of work.
On the FEMA, it's all rollover. On revenues, we have federal revenues on the bridges at 5.3 million. The state sewer amount is 3 million. That's the only remaining monies that were left outstanding on the sewer line. And then the state bridges at 1.3 million. We have gone through and we are currently reconciling all the sewer line expenditures, and we're up to date. We're sending our last packet. So right now, DHSEM has reviewed all our expenditures, not only for the bridges, but for the sewer lines. So hopefully they'll reimburse us whatever amounts we have expended on both those projects. And then we are waiting on the decision from FEMA whether we're going to close out the bridges on the old disaster 1783 and then move them to the new disaster for South Fork, or if we're going to continue on with the old project worksheets. So
From 2008.
Yep.
So either way, if they do happen to move it to the new disaster, it'll be a good cutoff point, which I think it would be better for them. Then it wouldn't look like our project's so old. So hopefully we'll get an answer here within the next few months on what's going to happen. The next fund is GeoBonds. They increased $2 million, all from a rollover of Pinecliff, 471,924, Innsbrook at 92,589, Country Club, and this is just the engineering, 53,152, and a contingency of 1.5 million. on the General Capital Improvement Fund, we're rolling over the legislative appropriation for Horton at $967,474. And on expenditures, we're rolling over Horton Furniture at $22,290. The remodel at $2.5 million, Eagle Creek Water Line, $35,000, the Village Hall parking lot at $60,000. The Gavilon grant from DOT rollover is $114,899, and Reese and Hull at $71,781. On NMFA, you'll see the loan for the fire truck that they will be applying for. And then the new fund that you'll see is 495, which is called Other Debt. This is the DFA loan for the South Fork FEMA projects, $22 million, and then interest at $30,000. And then, of course, the transfer out for the interfund loan to the general fund just for the South Fork fire expenses until we get the FEMA reimbursement.
We have to pay interest.
Well, that's been promised to be forgiven, the loan.
Well, we'll pay it, oh, it's interest earned.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, not paid
And where
yet.
do we have that at?
So right now, this week, I'm actually opening up accounts with all the banks, and we're gonna try to divide the monies. My dilemma right now is, do I just set it in a money market, or do I try to do a ladder with CDs? But then I'll need to know when that we'll need the money, so that's been kind of hard to figure out. But it might be better just to set them in a money market until we need it and earn some.
What are they paying on money markets?
It's all different. I don't recall it's better than a savings account.
Oh, yeah.
The only issue is that the pledge. So they're gonna be having to send a lot of the monies outside of Rio Doso through all their branches in order to cover the pledge. I didn't even think this morning. So, yeah, that's what I'm tackling this week. So if you're available, I'd like to pick your brain a little bit about where or how and stuff, so. And then, okay, we're on RJU Fund 502. We did get a DFA grant for the lift station at Meechin and Suddereth at $2,122,708. On the airport, we're rolling over revenues of $759,000. Taxiway A at $511,335. The federal portion is $464,850, and the state portion is $46,485. And then the state did allow us to use some grant savings that we had on the Taxiway B for the Taxiway A project. And so we're rolling over to $48,271. And then, of course, you'll see the expenditures. The rollover is an electric gate at $25,000, their donations at $4,053, and then equipment at $39,628, and then taxiway at $516,500, and then the additional amount for taxiway A from the old grant at $248,271. On affordable housing, we did get a mortgage finance authority grant for 603 Meechin at $1 million. And so you'll see the revenue expenditure of that. And then we did roll over from 24 for 603 Meechin, $802,243. On the treatment plant, there was a rollover for the loan for the solar panels at $4.8 million. And then we did receive a DFA grant for the sewer line at the racetrack at $1.5 million.
Which we're supposed to be getting started on that pretty quick. We were at a meeting this morning where they said the FEMA-approved racetrack plan was approved 2 days ago, and so there's going to be meetings tomorrow on that, so that's moving.
On the expenditure side, the expenditures increased.
So why does that come through us?
Because we have a good audit, and that's the basic deal.
That was politically correct.
Well, for the RJ, we're running it through the joint use board down there at the plant. So with us having 2 seats, we can run the grant.
Okay.
And so we're going to be taking care of that. So that's the.
Just.
Yeah, that was the mayor and council, we're the fiscal agent anyway, so we wanted to be the one, they were on the naughty list.
Well, when it came up, they said, well, that ain't happening. They said, well, we're doing it, and DFA said, okay.
Yep.
So we
Mayor,
get there.
question for Ron, the solar panels, How many are there for
I
$4 million?
I know that that's a large project. Christella is online. She's the one that was working on that. Christella, you want to give us just on the size of the solar?
And I should know that. I can't remember. Gary, can you?
No.
It's a
Are
bunch.
Are you asking in terms of megawatts, or are you asking in terms of dollars?
Like physically, how many panels? Is it 10, 20?
Oh, it's a bunch.
Oh, yeah.
It's quite a bit. It's almost enough panels to power the entire plant. Because we didn't get that extra piece of land, we weren't able to cover the entire power of the plant, but it's going to save us some substantial dollars once it's all installed and ready to go.
Is that all the land in front of it?
Yeah, but we tried to purchase the other that didn't go.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's going to be a lot of that. And they even looked at putting some on the buildings and
On the roofs.
everything else. But we've been working on this. Lord Cornelius was all over this 4, 5, 6 years ago. So
And Mayor Crawford,
getting ready to start on it.
Councilor Corey, we were trying to purchase some property from the adjacent property owner there, and it didn't work out. Zach and I tried to negotiate on that, so we just kept it within the boundaries of the property.
And we're getting that loan at 0.001.
0.01%.
Yeah, it's like next to nothing.
Thank you.
And then the savings from the utilities would be the money that pays off the loan.
Yeah, we did all the third-party reviews on that to see if that was working.
And as American can attest, AJ's already saying that we've been in operation for 2 years already.
Yeah, I'm at all these meetings and they're having us up as the poster child of solar panels, and it's like, man, did I sleep through that?
I believe that was a virtual model that he was
Yeah.
talking.
Yes, but we'll take it.
But it takes this long to get things moving. And so we've got some other municipalities that are following suit now, so. Okay, go ahead.
On the expenditure side for the treatment plant, expenditures increased 7 million. Again, the rollover for the solar panels at 4.8 million. The fine screens at 727,821, and then, of course, the new grant for the sewer line at 1.5. And then the transfers out is the rollover of the transfer for the treatment plant, for the FEMA sewer line match. On solid waste, we did cut expenditures to balance to cash of 77,000. There was a rollover of a battle cab and chassis at 242,963. We decreased contingency by 250 and group insurance at 70,000. On risk management, expenditures were rolling over cash at 69,395. So those are all the changes for the first quarter. If you have any questions, if not, I would ask for a motion.
Okay, can we get a motion?
Mayor, I move approval of Resolution 2024-43, a resolution amending the fiscal year 2025 budget, quarter ending September 30th, 2024, for certain funds and application to the local government division of the New Mexico Department of Finance and Administration for the approval thereof.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Just keep in mind, with all our experience with FEMA, about every 4 to 6 months, all the staff changes, and we have to go through the process all over again. Just keep that in mind. That's all I have, Mayor.
Okay, roll call, please, ma'am.
Counselor Corey?
Aye.
Counselor Jackson?
Aye.
Counselor Hooker?
Aye.
Counselor Salas?
Aye.
Counselor Letterman?
Aye.
Counselor Eby?
Thank you.
Before you run off,
Oh,
tell them about, we got our GRT in. Yeah, get our GRT in, and they called me, and what did
We
you
had a-
say?
we had a heart attack.
No, you called me and you said, we got our GRT and the amount is,
2.5 million.
and I went, whoo, and then I went, what, that doesn't make any sense. There's no way, because usually that's about 2.2, so we're 2.5. So she dug and tell us.
Unfortunately, we found out that it was another correction of CRS reports
Can't
from
remember.
a local grocer. So our food deductions were like $15 million just for this month. And so we found out that it was a correction of 7 months of tax return or tax reports that were finally changed and corrected. So that by itself was about $866,000 was the correction. So the true GRT was still at 1.7, which is about where we're averaging. However, if we're trying to prove that we're losing money, and this shows that we got 2.5, we're gonna have to educate everybody that that really wasn't true sales for 1 month, it was a correction. And so our true sales are the 1.7, so we're gonna have to do a little bit of
Because
education.
what the legislators are looking at is the state-reported
Yeah.
stuff. And so I've already called Senator Munoz and several others. We've let Harlan know, the municipal league know, because we're in that drafting. So it looked like, hey, we don't need anything. But it's more, because now we're down almost $2 million in 2.5 months, is that right?
Yeah,
And so if that keeps up, and then I know that we're going to have a little rebound, but we want to make sure that we get the matching aspect down correctly.
Are
But
you
yeah,
going to keep getting credits?
so this is, so if you recall, we just got one in January.
yeah.
I thought that corrected it all.
Well, we thought so too.
We
That's
thought
why
so
we don't
too.
understand.
So, that's my question. So when you go back and they do a correction, for some reason, you would imagine that the food deductions would eventually go up, while for us, for some reason, they keep on going down. And so I'm not sure why the vendor is not submitting their reports right, or why TRD is not looking after a correction, that same vendor, and saying, hey, you made the same mistake, let's correct it fast. I don't know why they're waiting 6, 7 months for them to correct and then go back, so.
And it's got to be the same, that's the only one that does that kind of volume. So it's tricky, but yeah, it didn't make sense at first, and she had to dig and figure that out. Because we were,
I was screaming for Ron, run down the hallway, where's Ron?
and because I've been preaching this and begging this, and it's like, oh my gosh, this, this.
You were doom and gloom on Monday.
Yeah. And now you can see we're still in doom and gloom.
Yeah, because it was, so we were averaging about 1.5 before, so we're at about 1.7, which is probably more reasonable to what was happening here, so. We'll just have to make sure that they know it.
That's for a month. That's for August. August receipts that we just were remitted
Yes.
to us.
So we
And it was
haven't even
late.
done September yet.
No,
Yeah.
And our biggest months are usually August and
December.
Christmas. And then September's right in there,
Mm-hmm.
and so we'll take a couple of big hits.
Yeah,
And so we'll see, but I know business picked up after a couple of months, but,
it has picked up.
yeah, but September's gonna be the tail. And lodging was still there, but keep in mind, a lot of these contractors, because our lodger's tax is taking a big dive.
Yeah, that one.
Is because they're signing 30-day contracts, which is outside of our, so they don't pay lodgers. It's long-term
Yes,
rental,
so-
so, do all those other things, but our construction industry indicator should be going up considerably. We're working with different contractors to make sure that they're coding the villages
Yes.
GRT properly for destination taxing and all of that, so we're staying on top of all those things. as
So
best we
it'll,
can.
yeah, so if we can move fast on some of these projects, that'll help us out. But
Okay.
it just depends on FEMA, how long it take
Yeah.
to approve them.
Anything else?
Nope.
Okay, thank you very much,
Thank you,
Judy.
Judy.
Judy?
Yes,
Next up,
Did
we
oh,
have
yeah, we voted.
discussion on and possible action on task order number 3 on RFP number 2024-004P with Cobb Finley and Associates, Inc. for surveying and engineering services to conduct the Village of Ruidoso base flood elevation study and to develop an interim FEMA flood map in the amount not to exceed $290,128.58, including New Mexico GRT. And this is something that a lot of people are waiting on, so yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. We're requesting to provide funding to Cobb Finley to go ahead and create the interim FEMA floodplain map. As you guys have seen, we've had 2 different maps. You've had the field on, or boots on the ground map, and then you've also had the J.E. Fuller map. And so we are having Cobb Finley, who are going to have boots on the ground and modeling. So they're going to provide the most comprehensive map. And on top of the map, they're also going to create the base flood elevation map, which will allow people to be able to rebuild. They'll know exactly how high they'll need to rebuild with the ordinance hearing that we're bringing to you guys to the November council meeting.
Ashley, what's the turnaround time for them?
Mike's got it.
So
It's in
they,
here.
Mayor and Councilmember Corey, they quoted 10 weeks. We're hoping that that hits by the end of December, but we could be looking at possibly January at the latest.
And so we're not going to look at the maps until after this Cobb Finley.
Well, we are looking at the maps now, but yes, but some people are going to be able to rebuild that are not in that area that were burned, so they can start moving forward, but the ones that are in the floodways and all of that. And then, of course, that opens up the discussion that Mike and everybody's working on how do we get the funding to buy these folks out.
And Mr. Mayor, if I may, the reason we are getting another set of eyes on this is so that it can't be or won't be looked at as we came in and just said, yep, this is it.
That's
It's somebody that's outside, that there's no
Very well
bias to it.
recognized.
That's what they do.
That's correct, and they're also going to be following FEMA standards, so our goal is to take this map once they're done and even propose it to FEMA for it to be adopted into the firm.
And the reason that we keep saying FEMA, as people do not like the federal government and they're coming in and saying you can't do this, if we were to not follow that plan and someone was allowed to rebuild and something else, another disaster happens or whatever, FEMA, the whole government could say, you're not getting any more money in your entity, whether it be traffic enforcement, housing, anything.
That's correct.
Related to federal funds, yes, sir.
Thank you.
In Mayor Crawford, Counselor Hooker, we also have an attorney that's been assigned by the New Mexico Self-Insurance Fund that we're working on this also, so we can have that, just if anything else comes up, we have an attorney there available, so.
And then could we, if we allowed that, we could be liable.
Yes.
Thank you.
Here's my prediction is that once the other map is developed and presented, they're gonna come back and say, oh, we want the villages map
Oh, yeah.
to be able to build on or use and stuff, so.
Who is?
The people
The
building.
people that are wanting, because this company might say, oh, your floodway's wider.
Yeah,
In some areas, they've already told her like 30%.
yeah.
Oh, yeah,
So that's, I mean, that's just the thing that we gotta.
They're gonna increase it by 30%?
There's a potential for an increase. So what we were seeing was high watermark to high watermark based off of drought, monsoonal rain. That's what we were seeing out in the field.
Right.
Now, this modeling is going to show what could actually happen
Yeah.
and what the new floodplain's going to look like. So it's very possible that it will increase larger than what we originally showed.
And just to follow up on Ashley's comment, those drought monsoonal rains was about 1.6 inches in an hour. The regular monsoonal rains are between 2 and 4 inches in
Right.
an hour. So that's where you get that extra volume of water that they're going to start calculating on.
So we don't want to approve any maps until after we get this mapping from Cobb, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And when is your public input meeting? November what?
November 12th.
Yep.
That's for the ordinance.
Okay, but.
Yeah, the ordinance.
We also talked, so that's for just the ordinance.
Just the ordinance.
That's just ordinance.
And then there'll be another one for the actual map, or that's not?
No, so Mayor and Council, what ends up happening is the maps are actually a supplement to the ordinance. The ordinance itself is what gets discussed. And so through conversations with Zach and some others, the ordinance has a public hearing. There is not a public hearing for the maps, but you can add a discussion item
Right.
for the maps so that you can have that back and forth with the public on any items, questions,
You
concerns that may be
can.
related.
You don't, it's not required, and then it's an adoption.
Yeah, it's, as you recall, Mike, what our concern was is approving it and then making a change down the road. So we're not actually approving the map until this study's done.
That is correct. The item that you will be discussing and possible approval of is the ordinance and the ordinance language. That language just strengthens the ability for us to enforce the current ordinance, and it allows those language changes, that both FEMA and the state are strongly recommending.
So that'll be first of the year that we would bring it back to council?
To adopt the map.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Make a motion.
Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion to approve task order number 3 on RFP number 2024-004P with Cobb Finley and Associates, Inc. for surveying and engineering services to conduct the Village of Ruidoso base flood elevation survey and to develop an interim FEMA flood map in the amount not to exceed $290,128.58, including NMGRT.
Second.
Any discussion?
I got one question. As far as when this task order is approved, now you're saying the timeline's 10 weeks. So when is the kickoff meeting, and does that start the timeline?
So we will, as soon as we get the sign, we'll send it over. We'll go ahead and get that kickoff meeting scheduled. Cobb Family's been very responsive of moving as quickly as possible to get the work done. They understand this is a big priority for us.
Okay, do you know how many, like say, boots on the ground they're going to be sending into the village?
So I have a feeling they'll probably end up combining this in with the survey that they're going to be doing for the stormwater asset inventory. And that, we have a kickoff meeting for that one next Tuesday. And they're already planning on having boots on the ground next week and the following weeks to start inventorying our data.
All right, because I'm interested in the kickoff meeting, and I'd like to be there.
I will definitely send an invite.
All right, thank you.
Okay, roll call, please, ma'am.
Counselor Hooker.
Aye.
Counselor Jackson.
Aye.
Counselor Corey.
Aye.
Counselor Salas.
Aye.
Counselor Letterman.
Aye.
Counselor Eby.
Aye.
All right, thank you very much. Appreciate it, Ashley.
Thanks, Ashley.
Next, item number 3 is discussion and possible action on award of RFP number 2025-002P for professional services agreement for disaster recovery coordination to DW Dukes LLC. And after the wonderful introduction that we gave him, where'd he go?
He left.
Oh, okay. So go ahead there.
Mayor, Council, we did go out for RFP. We did have a scoring committee. We received 2 proposals, and after the scoring, Dennis Dukes was the pick.
Okay, any questions?
I'll make a motion.
Yes, sir.
Make a motion to approve award of RFP number 2025-002P for professional services agreement for disaster recovery coordination to DW Dukes LLC.
Second.
Any final discussion? Roll call, please.
Was that Counselor Jackson second?
Oh, I'm going to defer to the lady to my left.
Okay. Counselor Letterman. Counselor Hooker.
Aye.
Counselor Letterman.
Aye.
Counselor Corey.
Aye.
Counselor Jackson.
Aye.
Counselor Salas.
Aye.
Counselor Eby.
Okay, thank you. Now we'll go on to item number 4, discussion and possible action on agreement for RFP number 2025-002P for professional services for disaster recovery coordinator with DW Dukes LLC.
I move that we accept the agreement of RFP number 2025-002P for professional services for disaster recovery coordinator with DW Dukes LLC.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Roll call, please, ma'am.
Counselor Letterman.
Aye.
Counselor Hooker.
Aye.
Counselor Jackson.
Aye.
Counselor Salas.
Aye.
Counselor Eby.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. You didn't have to do a
Thanks,
whole lot
Adam.
for that one, did you? All right. Well, that concludes the agenda for today.
Same length of time.
This
coming
meeting is adjourned.
Okay, what time is it? Morning.
We got a few minutes. We
got 8
beat the
minutes.
clock, yeah.
8 minutes. See ya.
Fire truck ran into it.
Yeah. Hey, Kate, you want to